Hello and welcome to the Sky Sports Golf Podcast, brought to you by Callaway and brought to you today from Fox Hills Golf Club in Surrey. They are a very generous host today. We've just enjoyed a lovely knock around the long cross. I'm sure that'll come up during the podcast. I have two guests with me today. Firstly, the man who holds the record for the most European Tour starts, 722, a record which I'm not sure will ever be beaten. Makes my head hurt just thinking about it. Two-time Ryder Cup winner, of course, our very own David Howell. Good to see you, Howler.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Not at all, glad to have you. And a sprinkling of stardust on the podcast today. Last night was a significant award-winning night for Irish acting at the Oscars. The fact he's here playing golf with me today tells you he wasn't that award winner.
That's true.
Simply known as Northern Ireland's second most handsome Jamie. It is Jamie Dornan. Welcome along. Good
Thanks
to see you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, great.
One thing that actually links my two guests today, David Howell, a past champion at the Dunhill Links, and Jamie, a multiple participant at the Dunhill Links.
Yeah, I haven't played it for a while. What year did you win it?
2013. Yeah,
that was the year.
Decades
my first
ago.
year was 2014. You might.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. That looks like a great week, is it?
Great fun. Yeah, it's very social.
Yeah.
So it's quite heavy on the pints.
It can be.
It can be.
Fun week.
Yeah.
And you were telling me, of course, you've got a pretty decent record around there as well.
I did all right. I haven't played it since 2017 was the last time. I wasn't sort of filming at that time of year, but I played with Tyrrell 2 years in a row and he won it 2 years in a row. I remember thinking he had to be playing with me to win it, and then he won the Italian Open the week after. But he had waited a long time, hadn't he, to win a DP World Tour event, and he finally got it over the line with Dunhill. And I was like, oh, that's all me. And then he won the Italian the next week.
There you go. Good luck, Charm. Look, well, we're here to reflect on a magnificent Players' Championship, one for the ages. So many big names in the mix down the stretch on Sunday. They fell away one by one and left us with a two-horse race, Cam Young and Matt Fitzpatrick going toe-to-toe. And I really thought Fitzy had done it, Howler. No Englishman has ever won the Players. That remains the case because he was pipped at the post. But let's start by talking about the champion. Cam Young stands in the 17th tee, trailing by one, forced into having to go at that pin, really. Plays a stunning tee shot, drains the birdie putt. Then with the honour in the 18th, pumps a 375-yard drive right up the right-hand side of that hole. I mean, first time he led the tournament outright was when he tapped in for his par in the 72nd hole. But he went and won this tournament, didn't he?
He did, and what's amazing is Cam's gone from the guy that couldn't win and everybody thought would fall away to now there's this almost aura about him that you think he's the one who's going to stand up and do it. It's only his second win. Whatever he did at I guess it was the Ryder Cup when he went out and led the team over there in Bethpage, and he looks like once he got that first win, he is completely changed. And is a real danger, when he showed that yesterday, that drive at the last. I mean, goodness me, 370.
Longest drive ever recorded during the ShotLink era down that 18th.
Is that right? Yeah, and he's made the birdie. You think, just get it on the fairway. He could hit so many ways to go about trying to win that championship at that point. But I mean, absolute class, wasn't it, to fly it over the corner all the way down.
And by the way, on the Saturday, he hooked it into the water off that tee as well. So that's pretty running around your head. Jamie, he said afterwards his swing thought standing over that tee shot was, I'm going to hit the best shot of my life right here. It's quite a nice swing thought to have.
Tells you about the confidence of the guy, you know, that you're able to think that way and execute it in that way. I mean, on 17, as we were talking about earlier, Matt Fitzpatrick, he didn't blow it by any term. On the 17th, he hit it. The shot I thought he should hit on 17, I was like, right, safe, he's found it, distance control, perfect. And then Cam Young goes and hits it, 8 yards right and 2 yards further on and just dribbles down. And I mean, that is just so impressive to watch.
And I think, Howler, you'll probably know, when you stand on that 17th with that pin as well, I mean, it looks like the flag's in the water, doesn't it? It doesn't. You can't see anything. You can't see the base of the flag from there.
It does. I mean, that's just situational, isn't it? It was down breeze. It was doable, but you've got to do it at that moment in time. And sometimes you need to just drop on a good number. Cam's slightly longer hitter than Fitzy. Fitzy hits his, I'm guessing, 52-degree wedge or whatever. Not quite enough. And Cam even said in his interview afterwards, well, I know I've got 2 or 3 yards on Fitzy. So it was perfect. But boy, you've got to execute, and you've got to hold the putt. Now it was a nail biter, a really good Players' Championship.
Absolutely, and he actually had a fried egg at the 16th as well, and to sort of get down in 3 from there was a pretty good effort. Jamie, he's not the most demonstrative, is he? The demeanour never changes. No, there wasn't even a smile came across his lips.
I was thinking that as he walked off the 18th.
Yeah.
Pretty abruptly too, you know. I thought like surely there's someone trying to grab him for an interview on 18 or something, but like he was just off and away up, and it was no fireworks, you know, no huge emotion. But be careful of those guys, you know. And I mean, we used to say that about Scheffler, you know. And I do think I'm a Cam Young fan in terms of watching his golf swing, the tempo, obviously the pause at the top, and he's been threatening for a long time, hasn't he? And I know he got his win, you know, last year, but you go back to the 2022 Open at St Andrews, when Cam Smith obviously went and won it, but in the last group, and Rory ended up finishing third, and I remember thinking, I'd barely heard of him at that point, and going, geez, who's this kid? Let's watch out for him. And like, I think he's going to do a lot of great things now.
Well, yeah, but it took him 3 more years, didn't it? I think that's the thing. And then all of a sudden, there's that one win, and you feel like the floodgates may well open. And of course, they don't come much bigger than the Players' Championship, no doubt about that. So yeah, he's now a major force.
Well, I'm not going to say, I was saying to Jamie earlier, I'm not going to say this is what's going to happen with Cam Young, but there are parallels with Scotty Scheffler in the fact that it took, I think, 80 starts before Scotty Scheffler got his first win. And he was obviously been able to stop winning since then. 93 starts it was for Cam Young before he got his first win, and now, you know, he's won the biggest tournament of his life. And as you said, the Ryder Cup must have been, you know, a huge feather in his cap to have.
Yeah, even on a difficult week, you take what you can from a Ryder Cup individually, you know, and he would have taken a ton of confidence from the way he was able to play in front of his home crowd, stand up and pretty much be their star man, and that came through in bucket loads yesterday.
Yeah, well look, on the subject of the Ryder Cup, it was starting to become quite tribal with that penultimate pairing, some USA chants for Cam, and sort of cheers when Fitzy would miss a putt. We're going to discuss that in just a bit, but first of all, both of them were actually asked about the crowds after the round. This is what they had to say.
Listen, the crowd, that was literally child's play compared to Bethpage. So, yeah, if they think that was anything, then, you know, they need to reassess, get yourself up to New York. But yeah, listen, that's how it is. You know, that's how it is. I would hope it's the exact same. Well, it probably wouldn't be, because we're a little bit more polite in Europe, I would say. But you know, I would hope it would be a similar intensity in Europe. I think I knew it was, you know, I knew it was coming. I had it with Jordan Spieth in 2023. Yeah, it's funny to me. It's absolutely, I find it hilarious.
Cameron, there was a definite partisanship out there. It kind of felt like a Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
You were aware of that. To what extent would you say that buoyed you or uplifted you, if at all?
Yeah. It's certainly a positive. I mean, anytime you can take some support from the fans out there, that's great. And I mean, it was to the point that Matt looked at me on 18 and said, "Cam, do you hate me too?" And I was like, no, I think we're friends, Matt. We're on the same PGL team. Like, we're good. But yeah, I mean, it was very, very partisan out there, like you said, which is surprising. But great to be on the correct side of it.
So interesting to hear both of those boys talk about it there. Matt Fitzpatrick saying he sort of laughs it off. It wasn't nearly as bad as Bethpage. But Howler, at times it got close to crossing the line, I thought.
Well, it's just so unusual to hear that USA chant come out in an event that isn't the Ryder Cup. That's the nature of the world we live in at the moment. And for obvious reasons, you know, global reasons, not just golfing reasons. I think what I took from it, though, however, was Fitzy coped with it really well. It was nothing. It wasn't a patch on what they faced at the Ryder Cup, of course, but it was also quite friendly at the end. You know, Fitzy, I wouldn't say he didn't give up the ghost. He did very little wrong. He had a great pitch. It hadn't happened for him. It had for Cam. There's your winner. A really nice embrace at the end, I thought, and it was, you know, kind of like what the Ryder Cup's supposed to be about, bringing people together. Samuel Ryder's vision when he first, you know, put the trophy up for grabs. And amongst the players, that's the way it still is when it's all said and done. And that really came across to me yesterday. I thought it was quite nice.
Fitzy touched upon the fact that they're TGL teammates together as well, so they've gotten to know each other quite well. And I don't know if you've seen this, but Fitzy made a beeline for Cam Young's family as well and gave them all a big hug.
Classy.
Thought he handled himself really well, Fitz. I've got a couple more things I want to discuss when it comes to Cam Young, but let's move on to Matt for a bit. Heartbroken for him, because he kind of did everything right. One sloppy 3-putt from nowhere at the 14th. His only other drop shot of the day was at the 18th. But this was no choke. Like, he didn't lose the tournament the way Shane lost it a couple of weeks ago, or the way Daniel Berger lost it at Bay Hill. He just got beaten, didn't he, Howler?
Yeah, very much so. Would he question? I mean, you look at it tactically. I'm always watching driver off the last. I'm thinking possibly 3 would just got to find that fairway. I mean, Cam's hit the intimidating drive down there, but 4, it's still 4. Maybe, just maybe, he might question that play, but he made a good swing.
Yeah,
and you're
right.
right.
Saying it just didn't get hit by the wind the same way Cam Young's did, and it just.
Yeah, well, different ball flights.
Yeah.
You know, Fitz is a bit. When I saw him pull driver out, I was worried. I thought, can he go tight enough? And the other thing with launching it as Cam Young does, he's got more carry down the left. It's just a little bit easier in some ways. But he hardly put a foot wrong, and it looked solid. Good effort with the putt. I thought the chip was sensational. It was all business. The chip out was high quality as well, or the pitch to the front edge of the green. It wasn't really a chip out, was it? Didn't do much. At the end of the day, did bogey the last. He'll be a little miffed that's the way it ended. But goodness me, he looks really strong, didn't he? And when it finished, the way he held himself, I think he took a lot from the way he performed for the entire week, knowing I'm onto something here.
He's putting himself out there and up there all the time. And I think the thing about Matt Fitzpatrick that's really clear is, he's got longevity in the game. Yeah. He's been around a long time now, and he's not going away. And he managed to sort of peak at the right times. He's always going to be in and around in the Ryder Cups, and I don't think we're going to worry about him. I think
works so hard. As well.
Sure. Yeah,
he works his socks off, and I think he's such a gritty competitor. Like, obviously, he's a US Open champion. We all remember that bunker shot on the 72nd hole of Brookline. But I always think, Jamie, like, the tougher the course is, the more I'm thinking, I might have a little flutter on Fitzy here.
Yes, yeah, he does seem to be, the man for the tough course, I know. But that says a lot about his psyche and how he backs himself. And, a confident Matt Fitzpatrick is very hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And a measure of Fitz. He fronted up and spoke to the press after his finishing his round. This is what he had to say to Anna Jackson.
For a player of your calibre, Matt, you're a US Open champion, you've done some amazing things in this game. Does a moment like this, does it lean more towards, pride that you were in contention to the end, or is it more disappointment that you couldn't get it done?
It's both. Yeah, it's definitely both. I have high expectations of myself. I believe in my ability coming down the stretch. And, I don't necessarily feel that I can get myself in these positions enough. I feel like I have done over the last, 12 months. I've definitely done a better job of it. But, I feel like when I do get into these positions, I give myself a good chance to go on and win. And, today was another one of those days where, realistically, I'm, a Nat Studar off getting into a playoff and winning or whatnot. So, yeah, it's obviously a tough one to take, how it ended, but obviously, the old cliche, lots of positives.
A Nats doodah away from winning, Howler, which is quite a nice sort of Yorkshire way of putting it. And this is why having a punt when it comes to golf is just a waste of time and money, because his record at Sawgrass coming into this week was missed cut, tied for 46th, tied 41st, tied for 9th, missed cut, 5th, missed cut, and now runner-up. So it's just, maybe it's more about that golf course, because it doesn't suit one style of play.
Yeah, sounds like it was good value. Year on year, and it came to fruition once again, is a reminder of it's such a technical golf course. It doesn't suit anyone. Hitting it 320 in the air as McIlroy doesn't really help him round Sawgrass. Of course, it's nice to have that power in the tank, but you can win that championship in any manner of ways, but you have to hit fairways, you have to hit the ball well. I mean, that's a given, because it will catch up with you eventually. Ball striker's golf course, but not a bomber's golf course. You've got to play well.
I mean, it's just a great golf course. We're going to come on to Sawgrass in just a second. I actually texted Fitz's dad, Russ, last Tuesday. We're trying to arrange a round of golf together in a couple of months. I asked him if he was at Sawgrass. This was the reply I got from Russ. We're not at Sawgrass, Jamie. Been twice, had 2 awful weeks. First one, it rained almost continuously and was freezing cold, and Matt missed the cut. Second one, Matt only played 17 holes before it got dark. Got back to accommodation, found out they'd cancelled it for COVID. So Russ and Sue don't have the best memories of Sawgrass, but I think that was big for Matt this week. And what's interesting, Jamie, as well, both he and Cam Young double bogeyed the 18th on Saturday. Wow. And then that probably makes Cam Young's drive up the 72nd all that more impressive. But, that finish is just, it's so great to watch, isn't it?
It's brutal. I mean, look, as an amateur golfer, not a good golfer, you're terrified watching it, but they're in their heads about it too. And as you say, for him to hit it in the water on Saturday, made a double bogey, and to go there, everything on the line. And look, I mean, there's so much talk about what the players means as a tournament and how grandiose it is, and how big a statement it is to win it. To stand there in the 18th and launch it 375, it's incredible, brilliant to watch.
What a swing thought, as you say. I'm going to hit the best shot of my life.
Best shot of my life, and then does it. Yeah. Just one final thought on Fitz before I return to Cam Young, Howler. He was kind of lost this time last year after the Masters, changed coach, parted ways with Mike Walker, who'd been amazing for him and who always will have a special place in Fitz's heart, his childhood coach. Starts work with Mark Blackburn, and since the middle of last year, he has been transformed.
He has.
Yes,
there we go.
Shoulders back.
Connect the shoulders to the torso. He's got those long arms straight. And listen, what you said it up in the question, Mike, was brilliant. There are so many successes along the way, but when golf's such a long career and things run their course, you just need to hear a different voice or just a little piece of advice. And for sure, kudos to Mark Blackburn. He's done a great job with Fitzy. Got past the honeymoon period now as well and still going strong. So yeah, really some really good, diligent, clever work been done there because he was in the doldrums and he's forced his way out really quite impressively.
Just back to Cam Young, as I said, Jamie touched upon it earlier. The pause at the top of the backswing. I mean, I look at it and I think the amount of different thoughts that go through my head whilst that club is suspended midair. But would that be something you would encourage to hackers like me and Jamie here? How difficult is that to do?
Really difficult because your instinct is just to get there. Funnily enough, the last time I played with Robert Lee and Andrew Coulthard at Royal Wimbledon a couple of weeks ago. And actually, halfway round, I was so bad to start with. Just have as much time, and I was trying to be Cam Young. I mean, it didn't look. I looked more like Matthew Fitzpatrick probably at the speed of it. It's so difficult to do. It changes the rhythm, everything. It started as a drill, and to do that. There's not many. Matsuyama, we know, is
he's
one
tightened it up now, hasn't he?
He's softened it a little bit. It's still there.
Yeah.
Sungjae does it a bit.
Sungjae does it a bit.
It's very unusual. I would say to amateurs, flow. You want flow, not a pause.
I was saying to him earlier, like with amateurs, you get up there and stop, and my thought would be, I'm in the wrong place. I don't want to spend any more time.
It's extraordinary to watch, and it is just raw power from that position as well, isn't it?
Well, that's what's incredible is from a dead start, how he creates so much power. It's impressive, but he owns that move, and he's not going to. That's not going to change, is it? Hideki's questioned it a little bit, tried to get out of that somewhat. So for the moment, it's working beautifully. Who knows in 10 years' time if he has a wobble in a few bad months or years, you might think, oh, that's no good for me. But it seems to be his signature move, and that's a good thing, for a player. That's me. That's what I do, and that can be powerful as long as you keep leaning into it.
The other thing I want to discuss about Cam Young is Kevin Kisner revealed this in commentary on Saturday. He doesn't read his own putts. His caddy does all the reading of putts. He literally just hits it in the line that his caddy tells him to hit it on. Two parts to this question. Firstly, your thoughts on that, of just having complete trust in your caddy.
Remarkable. I can't think. I'm not sure if I've hit probably more than 5 putts in my entire career where I've hit it exactly where my caddy says without any input from me. That's not the way I've ever gone about it. Yeah. Very unusual. But you find a winning formula. Maybe it started one day and he did quite well, and then it turns into 1 week, and before you know it, if that formula works for you, you keep going with it until it stops.
And my second part to that question, Jamie, is should that be allowed? Surely, I know that a caddy's there to help you with yardages and all the wind's coming off the right here, but surely part of the skill set of golf is being able to read a putt.
Yeah, it's a good point, but
I don't know how you police it. You can't, but
how do you
still.
police it? And there's a lot of guys who see it as a team sport. You know, someone like Danny Willett or someone who's
Oh,
always
he's-
saying we.
he's very
you know,
fond of the we's.
They're very fond of the we, and you know that is how some of them see they're attacking this golf course together, and it's a communal effort to work out the best way to get the ball in the hole in this few shots. So, like, yeah, how do you police it? I mean, you must have had the same caddy for a long time. You wouldn't be changed. You know.
I think, by the way, his caddy's not reading every putt correctly because every pro doesn't read. So there's plenty of errors
exactly,
for his caddy. You know,
Yeah.
that's just normal, isn't it? It's accepting. If you do that, you have to accept that you're going to be given the wrong line any number of times during each day, just like you might choose the wrong line. So you're just giving up. You know, you're giving up the autonomy, aren't you? You shouldn't ban that. I don't mind. Caddies should be able to get involved with putts. I'd ban the line on the ball if you're going to go anywhere. I mean, that's the thing I'd get rid of.
Does it take a little bit of the pressure off himself in terms of the execution? It all becomes just about the execution then? That's the only thing he has to think about other than,
I guess so, but you're right. I mean, every player's different, isn't it? And like,
he wouldn't get, I mean, there's a few players we can name who wouldn't let their caddy even
yeah, well,
look
you
behind
know,
the ball.
Shane says he reads all his winning putts. He would never. Shane says, "Why would I take advice from a 12 handicapper now to hit a putt?" And Rory, I think, does all his own stuff. It's never Harry never really doesn't get involved in that.
If I was struggling, very often I'd let my caddy read one, but collaboratively.
Yeah.
And then if he was wrong, I'd insist that no part of him was touching the green when I putted on it. I'd be like, if he were caddy, Jamie, off. And then literally, no. Off.
Right off, right
literally off.
We have to talk about Ludwig Åberg. 63 on Friday, flawless. Didn't have his best stuff on Saturday, but still sort of kept everyone at arm's length. Saturday evening, I think everybody just thought, well, from his demeanour, from his body language, he's got this tournament won. Even at the turn yesterday, he still kind of had his nose in front. 2 bad swings, 2 quick swings in his own words. And suddenly, Howler, it's all over like that.
It was. I felt like Saturday night was a really big moment. The 3-putt, we didn't gloss over it because he was, had been so good. The 2 shots hit to the last. But to give up a shot that easily, that simply, the lead be 3, not 4. That was a big moment, I thought. Yes, he started quite nicely. Missed a couple of fairways early on and then got things under control. I just wonder sometimes, these guys are so good. They're flushers. They're so used to hitting amazing shots and ripping it down the middle and hitting 5 woods on greens and knocking it on par 4s. It's not that easy to win tournaments. On a course, that's difficult. And I just wonder whether a little bit more strategy of, can I just get this round in 71, 70, 72, rather than just going out and trying to play the same as you did on Friday or Saturday. I thought going for 12 was a mistake, yes. a real error. Ultimately, knocking in the water on 11 you've got to be left, haven't you? And
that was a horrendous shot.
Yeah, to back it up then, I feared when he pulled driver out on 12. Because anything can happen. You can hit a good drive and go in the water and you make your 5. And if you think about it, it's so easy with hindsight, isn't it? Knock it down the middle on 12. You've got a wedge to the green, probably hit the green. You've got a wedge to 16, even if you play it in a 3-shot manner. You've got a wedge to 17. Yeah. You've got 14. I don't know. It was just a bit strange. But Shane, a couple of weeks before,
sure.
One really bad shot. God, it scares the bejesus out of you.
In your system,
and you can't. Then you unravel. Even the very best, hard to explain. It's like an out-of-body experience. Where did that come from? I've lost control, and that was kind of what happened with Ludwig. Just for 20 minutes yesterday in the back 9, and before you know it,
2 bad swings, and the tournament's over. And it looks like, Jamie, nothing can go wrong with that swing. You see him on Friday and you think, how does this guy not win every single week?
And he's such a joy to watch. Like, I love watching Ludwig Åberg play golf. But what it does, I mean, it's interesting you talk about, I think strategy let him down. I think you're right there a little bit this weekend, and particularly on Sunday. But also, it makes you question then, because he's so quick, then it makes you go, oh, should he be taking his time a wee bit more? Because he gets up there, he's over it and he hits it. But as you say, his strategy is he's chosen the shot he wants to play. But I think sometimes the strategy didn't work for him.
Yeah, and you go back to the Tiger in his prime, winning when he wasn't even at his best.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Yeah.
The ability to be able to win with 9 hours, to get it done.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like he was the king at it at the end of the day, and others.
And I think
aren't quite as
Ludwig
good.
will learn. From
He's
yesterday's
learning. That's what I mean.
performance.
That's what I was going to say. He's learning. Although he's still a young guy. He's only played in. Was his second player? Maybe his third. He's going to be fine.
I think the frustrating thing for us as golf fans, when I'm commentating, I'm a golf fan at heart. You so want him to be. Yeah. He's so
because he has everything.
Because he looks. It's like Tommy.
He's so likable.
Yeah.
Yes.
He looks $1 million.
So you want it for him.
Yeah.
You wouldn't resent him picking it up.
It's the speed at which he plays, which is so refreshing. Jamie touched upon it. The PJ Tour posted a video on Instagram, 4.17 seconds from addressing the ball to hitting the ball. And they were actually, on Saturday, he and Xander Schauffele were put on the clock. And when he was informed of it, Ludwig laughed because he knew that it was nothing to do with him. Xander was glacial, but the speed at which he plays makes you root for him even more.
Yeah, it does. It's all very simple, very effective. It's elegant. It's the nearly physically the full package, isn't it? It hasn't quite got that game craft yet, shall we? That I talked about with that Tiger and now Scotty has got as well, about just getting it done when you're not necessarily at your best. And when you're in the hunt. But hopefully that part of the game will come to him as well.
One thing I wanted to ask you about Howler is, it was very flat in that final group. Obviously, Michael Torbjornsson, who was playing with him, had a quadruple bogey 8 at the 4th. What is that like? Can the energy get sucked out of a pairing? And conversely, like we saw with Cam Young and Fitz, can you sort of egg each other on a bit? Have you ever been in a final group, or any group for that matter, where your playing partner's having a shocker and then it just kind of goes flat and you lose all your juice as well?
Well, I don't think that's a true reflection of, yes, Michael had but obviously Ludwig at that point is thinking, well, I've got him sorted. He's out of the way. Yeah. Now it's him versus the rest. Okay, he's in that group on his own, shall we say, trying to win the championship. But it wasn't flat for Ludwig, and until he's hit it in the water on 12, and then it's not flat. It's just completely different emotions, panic or stress. So I wouldn't look at it I wouldn't. What Michael was doing had no bearing on what Ludwig ended up doing. I don't think. Would he have hit those shots had Michael been the one pushing him? Well, we'll never know.
Want to talk a bit about Bob McIntyre as well. Right up there for a while, made a great birdie the 15th. Then he goes to the 16th, playing in front of Young and Fitzpatrick, of course, and you think, here's a chance to lay down the gauntlet. And he just got really unlucky with that lie, didn't he? And then ends up trying to chip out sideways and just trickles towards the water. You felt for him.
Yeah, you need a bit of luck to win a golf tournament, and if luck doesn't go your way, it's probably not going to happen. That was a crucial moment. Awful lie on 16. When you're watching on TV, you form an opinion. I think Laura Davies was talking about, could he or should he have chipped out to 50, 60 feet? Hard to do in that. Only Bob will know that what he attempted to do, was it wise or was it daft? But if you get that bad a break and you stumble across a really bad line at an awkward time, sometimes there's not much you can do about it.
We were chatting about Bob out in the course, weren't we, Jamie? And so close to winning the US Open last year, and a star in the Ryder Cup, and he has the minerals when it comes down the stretch.
I think so, and he's just so likeable, and I think everybody wants it for him, and he's, big time Bob, he's up for it. You can tell he will win a couple of very big tournaments. Hopefully they're majors, but certainly like a players, he has that mentality, and I want them to do it.
Someone mentioned that, I think did he snap a putter in Hawaii earlier this year or something when he was in the hunt, and Bob tantrum, which we've seen. It happens. But one of the co-commentators was saying that he felt like he learnt a lesson there.
Okay.
And I noticed that about him yesterday. He did seem slightly calmer, and that might just be the little nugget that will help him get to absolutely everything out of his game that we hope for him, rather than hitting the buffers all the time. So I'll be interested to see that as the year progresses. Is it a slightly different slightly more improved Bob McIntyre? If it is, well, the world's his oyster.
Yeah, he's got a great relationship with Big Mike in his bag as well. They're a good
Wonderful.
team together as well.
And he loves the links, and he can play well somewhere like the players, and he's got the full package.
He does indeed. Look, we're going to take a quick break there. When we come back, a bit more to unpack from the players, and we're going to be chatting the Masters because we are now just over 3 weeks away. We'll see you again in a bit. Welcome back to the Sky Sports Golf Podcast, brought to you by Callaway, and brought to you today from Fox Hills, who I must thank from the bottom of my heart for their incredible hospitality today. We played England and Scotland versus Northern Ireland this morning. Josh Muggeridge from the Sky Golf team and a pal of mine, Rob Joss, against the two Jamies. And I think we're still scratching our heads in disbelief how we lost that.
It was the tightest game ever for 9 holes, and then suddenly we lost 3 in the bounce.
Sausage rolls at the turn at halfway house.
And we had the sausage rolls and they didn't.
Maybe that's it. And like just two finely tuned athletes like ourselves, if you put a bit of sausage roll in you.
Don't blame the halfway house at Fox Hills for your woes. It's a wonderful place.
It was delicious.
It's a wonderful halfway house.
Yeah,
Great food. Yes.
It was. Listen, it was great. We really enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you, Fox Hills, for having us. I want to talk about the top 2 players in the world, not myself and Jamie Dornan, because coming into the players, we were talking about the fact that no players ever won it 3 times. Both Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, of course, are 2-time champions. Neither were coming into the week in the most scintillating of form, and that remains the case. Let's start with Scotty. A T22 finish in the end, Howler, 8 shots back from Cam Young, extended his cuts made streak, but only just. Said on Thursday he didn't have enough trust in where the driver head was, then spent just 2 hours in the rain, in the dark, hitting balls in the range. Very un-Scotty-esque to see him not completely, there in the zone.
Indeed. In fairness, he drove it much better at the weekend, and he did find something. It must be interesting for Scotty. At the start of the week, the press were just asking general questions, weren't they? Not quite the amazing form that you've been on.
And getting quite ratty with them as well.
Well, a little bit, but he's quite. He's sort of he can be combative in press conferences, but then Brandao Chambly is unpicking his swing and how it's different. Well, that's the first time we've seen that in 2 years, that someone's picking holes in the swing of Scheffler. We mentioned the feet, we mentioned it's unusual, but it's just because it's been so good. So that was kind of different. Will he have seen that? Probably. But he knows it's been unpicked. Very impressive, I thought, in some ways, to come out and drive it way better on Saturday. But listen, it's just a reminder that golf's, the margins are so minuscule, aren't they? You just get off just a tiny little fraction, and he can look as human as the next guy. But I thought the weekend performance was pretty good. Bear in mind, he was close to missing the cut, and he finished 22nd. It's still a good performance.
What's interesting for me, James, is the body language as well. Like sarcastic fist pumps when putts are missing, chuntering away the whole time. And as I sort of said, getting quite snappy with journalists as well. We haven't seen this side of Scotty. It's all been going so well for 3 years straight.
Yeah, well, we just haven't had the opportunity to see it. He hasn't presented himself or put himself in a position where he needs to show that side of himself. And as Howler says, that's just, they're natural responses to, things not going your way. And it's so rare in the last 3 years that things haven't gone his way, and they are suddenly, look, we're not talking about someone who's missing cuts, but because he set the bar so high, just to see him struggle at all and not just either win every week or to have a top 5, let alone top 10 every week, is strange for him. But the Cam Youngs and the Matsuyamas and the Tommy Fleetwoods of the world must be loving it, and Rory would be loving it too if he wasn't having a wee dip himself, which is unfortunate, timing.
I'll tell you what, I marvel at Scheffler's play, as we all have over the last few years, the precision, it's amazing. But he'd be a really interesting watch if he was rubbish. All over the shop, the feet are going, the swing's unusual, he gets frustrated.
There are some swings which genuinely look like an 18 handicapper swing, and it doesn't. Like the position that he's in at the end, with sort of the feet are splayed and the club's up here.
I saw a slow-mo breakdown of Eamon Darcy's swing recently. It's absolute chaos.
Yeah, well, he was also a flusher of Eamon.
4 Ryder Cups.
Yeah, indeed. But because he does get antsy, he does get angry, he does, he'd be a little bit Tyrrell Hatton in there, when things aren't going his way. So don't wish ill on anyone, but it would be an interesting watch for a period of time if he was rubbish, which I don't see happening because the man is a genius.
I can still see him slipping into a green jacket in a few weeks' time, so I don't think we need to worry too much about Scotty. Let's get on to Rory. Obviously, right up until he teed off on Thursday, we didn't even know if he'd play. Didn't play a practice round, coming off his withdrawal at Bay Hill after tweaking his lower back. That did just seem to get better as the week went on, Howler, but some silly mistakes in there, and just, Rory said himself, a stone-cold putter.
Yeah, putted awful. It really did. He was holding nothing, 30, 40 feet a day, which he should be up near 70, 80, 100's really good. And if you don't see the ball go in at all, those 8, 10 footers, then it's difficult. And he's putted beautifully for, I don't know how many years is now, must be at least 3, if not 4. So unusual, and then you get no flow, do you, if good things don't happen. And yeah, summed up by the fact that he couldn't really hit a driver until just before he teed off on Thursday, and it was just kind of one of those weeks, an unfortunate build-up for him, coming off the withdrawal the week before. Just a little tricky period for a couple of weeks, which was a shame because they were 2 huge weeks.
This is what the man himself had to say. I feel like my game sort of progressively got a little bit better as the week went on, even though the scores probably didn't reflect it. I feel like I hit the ball well the last 3 days. I didn't get a lot out of it, but I do feel like I saw some good signs. Any concerns over Rory?
I think it's really hard to judge him on the players, certainly. He's tweaked his back. He hasn't played a practice round. I know he's got good vibes at Sawgrass. He won last year. He's won it before that. But he just, no pro wants to prep that way, and he's obviously, it would have been a very freaky thing to turn up and play 4 really good days of golf with that sort of preparation.
Depends how you frame things, and I'd say you could easily frame it as it's a great week for Rory. He had a back problem, which has now gone away. Say no more. Exactly. If he can go home, have a rest for a week, practice, that could have gone the other way. It could be Morikawa, with withdrawing again, and now we could be talking about McIlroy injured 2 weeks in a row. We're not, which is a great thing. Not only for us, it's a great thing for Rory.
It's such a volatile golf course, isn't it? If you don't have your game exactly where you want it, then you can look very silly very quickly around TPC Sawgrass. So I think he'll be grand.
And hopefully he has it. When you come back from an injury, even at any level, if you've been carrying a bit of an injury, once you're through it, you feel reborn. Like, it's incredible. You're suddenly swinging, going, oh, that thing's not bothering me anymore. And hopefully that times up very nicely for Augusta in April.
I thought he looked that way on Friday. That 3-wood to the 9th to make the cut. I mean, it's a shot of dreams.
That was unreal.
Whatever it was, 275 the front over the trees.
Oh, yeah.
3 men in that field could have hit that shot. It was brilliant.
And he needed birdie to make the cut, didn't he? That's right, yeah.
It's so fascinating watching all of them, but the really, really good players strive to make the weekend on the cut line. I love Fridays when I'm commentating. I find it endlessly fascinating.
We need to keep cuts, but that's a conversation for another day. I think if he'd had really good players, we probably wouldn't see Rory until Augusta. But now he says he's not sure if he'll add another event pre-Masters. I'll see. I haven't really made a decision either way. I'll see how my body feels. We'll see how I feel in practice and at home. And if I get itchy feet at home, maybe add an event at some point. I feel like it was important to make the weekend here and play an extra couple of days. But yeah, really just see how the next week goes and see how, once I get back to actually a full practice schedule and in the gym and stuff like that, see how my body reacts to that. And then I'll see. Do you think we'll see him play either the Texas events, Houston or the Valero?
That's a really good. Probably not. I don't know why. I mean, I haven't given it much thought other than my gut instinct there is, I'm not sure. Not sure. Does he want to play the week? Maybe the week before. I think he needs a rest. I can't think of how many weeks in advance we are here, but he might well play the week before. We'll see, but he'll be ready.
Yeah, he'll be ready. And I remember him saying, he used to get asked this question every year coming into the Masters because he would always sort of prepare for it in different ways, play a lot, play not a lot,
turn up late, turn
up early, talk to the media, not talk to the media. And for whatever reason, the stars aligned, and he obviously got across the line last year. But he came into the Masters last year having won at Pebble and won at the Players. He hasn't won this year. Doesn't really matter though, does it?
I don't think so. I think all bets are off when it comes to Augusta, and he's riding in on incredible vibes, monkey off his back, and I just look. it's going to be really interesting to watch Rory at Augusta, sore back or not, just to see mentally what that place does to him now.
The weight lifted.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's he may well win again, but this is the only time he's going to be turning up with that weight off of his shoulders when he drives through those gates of Magnolia Lane for the Masters. It's going to be a wonderful feeling.
The green jacket just hanging on the wee hook in the back seat. Oh, it'd be class.
Hold those thoughts. We're going to come on to the Masters in just a second, but just to put a sort of full stop on the players, Sawgrass as a venue, Howler, how good? I mean, it really is a great golf course, isn't it?
I get asked an awful lot, what's the best golf course in the world? And there's so many ways to answer that. I love St Andrews. Of the ones I've played, I think it's the best man-made golf course for a championship that I've ever had the benefit of playing on. It's so technical, it's so clever, it suits not one type of golfer. You've just got to play really well. It stresses every part of your game, long range putting, we saw plenty of 3-putts, short game skill, everything. So it's an amazing venue. Pete Dye, we owe him a debt of gratitude, if you like golf, because we get to see it every year. It's fantastic.
And we were saying out in the course, Jamie, how good would it be if there was a Ryder Cup there?
But why? Is it because it's so synonymous with the players that they like? What would be stopping it being a Ryder Cup venue?
Home of the PGA Tour maybe is the one sort of barrier at the moment. But I mean, I saw a statistic saying the hole that had the most balls in the water this last week was the 18th. Second on that list, the 17th, and third on that list, the 16th.
Oh,
so when you've got those three finishing holes, imagine matches coming down the stretch there in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, it would be incredible. There's no doubt about that.
But just final thought on the players. Still not the fifth major, Tyler?
No, I didn't like the whole conversation. Really felt a little bit forced to me. It's an amazing event,
but it's one of one.
It was always thought as number 5, the one. Yeah, one of that's a good way of putting it. You'd absolutely want that on your CV. Would you switch that for one of the other majors? No, I certainly wouldn't. As a golfer, I don't think there's anyone that would switch one. You want to take one of Brooks's PGAs away and give them, it's not happening. It wasn't really needed, and a little bit of a false narrative, I thought. But it's a fantastic event that no one in their right mind would not want to win. You're a
traditionalist as well.
Yeah, I think it's a load of nonsense. That it's its own thing, standalone, very important and very brilliant and prestigious event to win. And I just hate what it would do to changing history and suddenly everyone's who's won a players can now call themselves a major winner. No.
Yeah. And I think it's also a massive feather in your cap. If you are a Cam Young, I can now contend in majors. He already knew he could contend in majors because he has contended in majors. But once you've got a players, you think the next step is a major championship.
But I mean, just to be clear, if you want to consider the HSBC champions of old, a World Golf Championship event when I won it, I'm more than happy to say that
especially if you go toe to toe with Tiger and take him down.
A World Golf Championship event. So maybe it's not as daft as we think.
I think if you beat Tiger Woods down the stretch in any golf tournament, it should count as a major. Don't you think?
McGinley brought the conversation around to the Olympics. Would that not be considered a major? But I batted that away as well. I'm not so sure. It's fine the way it is.
I agree. Did you win that night? Was it the light blue? Was it that light blue WGC? Was it?
No, it wasn't a WGC, but it became. My point being, it became one after I won. Yes. That would have been nice. Giant big silver trophy, the one I won, which is needs polishing actually.
I'll be around.
Speaking of real major championships, though, let's look ahead to the Masters because it really isn't far away now. And in looking ahead, let's first look back. That Sunday last year, Jamie, how many years did you age in the space of 4 hours?
I can't even tell you. So we were on a holiday with my kids. We were in West Cork. And had a very stressful situation of the house that we were Airbnb didn't have Sky.
Oh no!
And so I had Sky Go on my laptop, and of course didn't have the right lead to go into this quite old TV that the place had. We're right on the ocean, beautiful on Dunmanus Bay there. And in a very sort of typically hilariously Irish way, my brother-in-law knew someone who lived locally who may have had the right lead. So we're driving through the hills of very rural Ireland to find this, you know, was it
USB-C.
USB-C to HDMI cable. This guy's out in his garage, literally going through this like trolley. Honestly, anyway, got this thing and got it with probably a 3 or 4 second delay. I was in and out of that room outside, you know, after what happened, you know, towing that chip on 13 into the drink from nowhere. And then, you know, I literally had to go outside, stand, get some air. I mean, through the ringer. Imagine what it was like for Rory himself. And my sister happened to film me when Rory finally held his, you know, in the playoff hole. I don't know if you know, and he's a mate of mine, Rory, and you know, and I care about him deeply. But we all just collectively cared so much about that moment, and I ended up I have it all on video, mirroring basically what Rory did. I literally am down on my knees, and I'm like, finally, I think I texted him saying, finally, I can get on with my life.
Yeah,
you know, honestly, because I feel like I've been holding me up for so many years. Like, was he ever going to do this? What a relief! It was just incredible. Like, you know, he was only going to win it that way.
Amazing. I mean, I've watched every Masters since I was 12 years old, let's say. You know, I saw the Europeans win and Tiger's amazing moment. Sure. And I much like you. I mean, what's the amazing thing about sport? It doesn't affect our lives ultimately. You know, he's a mate of yours. I know Roy. We've known his, but it doesn't really affect. And yet, I was on the edge of my seat. You know, literally couldn't watch. Same thing as you. The power of sport. And then when that storyline comes around, there might have been someone somewhere in the world hoping he doesn't win. I don't know who that person is, but he'll never own it. Well, Justin's sporty, but there you go.
But even Justin, you could see there was an element of,
I agree.
If I had to lose.
Isn't that amazing?
I agree.
Yes, you make a really valid point. Heartbreaking for Justin and you know and his family. But goodness me, it was just an incredible sporting occasion.
Look, Jamie and I are biased because we both know Rory well. We're both from the same part of the world, but I think it's Rory in particular. We were all so invested in the Rory story for the last 15 years, or it's in 2011 when he blew the Masters. It's just we've played every shot with him around that golf course, and I didn't even see the putt drop because I was at the back of 18. But the patrons are so thick there that I couldn't even see it, so I had to just wait for the cheer.
Oh my God!
And there were a few tears shed. And when you see journalists who've been covering this sport for 30 years, you know, hacks who've seen it all, and you know, not much gets them emotional. When they're emotional, you know that it's big.
Yeah, indeed. Well, and we mentioned Justin. Maybe his stories, his time is coming. You know, you could imagine the emotions if he gets in the hunt again, being, you know, somewhat similar because he's had heartbreak twice, 2 playoff losses. I mean, his career could have been wholly different had those gone the same way. I'm excited.
I know, but also just the whole. I mean, his reaction, everything was perfect. I mean, it was a disaster how he got there in terms of like, wasn't straightforward by any means, but the reaction and his reaction and just the relief and the outpouring and the walk. I mean, we'll never forget that the camera that close to him as he's walking up. He just cannot believe that he's got it done. You know
exactly, and Shane's reaction and everything.
Brilliant!
To welcome, as you know, there's a strict no mobile phone policy at Augusta, which I love. It's one of my favourite things about the tournament. I think it means you're in the moment. You're not sort of filming every shot, but they do have dotted around the course old school, you know, dial-up phones that you can call anywhere in the world for free. And once I saw him hit 3-wood, button a 3-wood off the tee at the 13th. I think he's got a 4-shot lead at this point. I went to a bank of phones next to the 13th fairway, called my dad back in Northern Ireland, who gets more nervous watching Rory than I do. And I said, Dad, it's done. Get the champagne out of the fridge. It's over. He's not losing it from here. He's got 2 par 5s to play. He's in the zone. Justin's making a bit of a run, but he'll fall away. My dad's like, no, I'm not opening the champers till he's walking up the 18th with a 6-shot lead. I was like, Dad, honestly, he's not throwing away from here. It was literally 30 seconds after I hung up the phone that he dunked it in the water at the 13th. But again, Howler, the beauty of Rory, one of the worst shots I've ever seen a professional golfer hit at the 13th, and half an hour later, the greatest shot I've ever seen a professional golfer hit at the 15th.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine that. If it all went differently, that would have been the most painful of losses. Is there a way back for Rory from there? That's why it was so amazing. You know, brilliant. I think everyone's delighted that this guy that we've watched for years and you care about as a sportsman, because he's brought a lot of people so much joy just watching what he's done, was able to get that his greatest victory of all and get it done. It was.
I think over the sands of time we'll forget that he didn't even hold that putt in 15 for eagle.
I know.
You know, just sort of the thing,
Yeah.
and, you know, and then the commentary, and shot of a lifetime, and all that.
Yeah.
Like, I'll probably just think that he hold that putt.
I know.
You know, but he
Mickelson missed the eagle putt at the 10th and he had a pound straw as well in
did he?
2010,
Yeah,
and
did
people
he?
always sort of forget that. But
See, there we go. I didn't realise
exactly.
that. Wow.
Hodder, you played in 3. Your very first Masters, you found yourself playing alongside the man who would go on to win it as well. So tell us in particular about your experience as a rookie in 2005.
Amazing, yes. You know, story has been told before. The computers had gone down, and I was sat next to Chris DeMarco in the locker room. A room not much bigger than this, being served beautiful food and sandwiches and stuff. But there were no tea times. We kept asking the locker room attendant, you know, where are the tea times? And we were sat there for way too long, with no one knew what was going on. Myself and DeMarco, we looked out the window, and DeMarco. Matsuyama, I think it was, and Retiv Goosen are playing the first. Yeah. Well, there's no tee times. Nothing made any sense. And all of a sudden, 30 pro golfers come running in, putting their spikes on, dash out to the range, and they started sending people off. Basically, it was a roll-up Saturday afternoon. If you're on the putting green and you're ready, off you go, off 1, and you go off 2, Jamie. And eventually, I think I was up to my 5-iron of my warm-up. Still no tee times, no idea what time I'm playing, but I was positioned next to Tiger on the range. And eventually one of the members came out with an A4 sheet of paper, and there was the second last group, Howell, Woods.
Oh my God.
First time I was at Augusta. You know, second to last group, first time I was doing really well in a major championship. Incredible. I had a front row seat of, I think, the greatest round of golf I've seen firsthand. I was 1 over for my front 9, wasn't too bad, clearly nerve-wracking, but I actually hit the ball quite well. But we played 9 holes Saturday evening, 9 holes Sunday morning. And I think, Tiger definitely birdied. I think he might have birdied 6, but he definitely birdied 7. And I remember the conversation with Stevie Williams. I was within earshot, and Tiger, he said, 158 flag. He says, 8-iron, 1 yard of fade at the tower. And Stevie Williams, he didn't over-caddy, he just said, yes. Beautiful. And Tiger hit this shot, it came down to a couple of inches, he birdied 8. He hit the best 7-iron I've ever seen down the left side of 9, high up and over the trees, back up the hill to the back left pin to about 4 foot. I mean, that portion of green is no bigger than this section of table, knocked it in. And then we get down 10, and Tiger's ball, he's hit 3-wood, I've hit driver, has got the biggest lump of mud you've ever seen on his golf ball. And when he takes his second waggle, just about to pull the trigger on the second shot, the hooter goes for the end of play. Because DeMarco's just hold his putt on 9, tapped it in, and it was getting dark. Yeah. So they waited for the leader to finish. Came back with a clean ball in the morning.
Wow.
Birdied 10.
Sliding doors moment.
Yeah,
Jeepers,
6-iron
wow.
to 20 feet, hold it. Blazed it way right off 11, like 50 yards right, like he often did. But there's the alleyway.
Yes.
If you go far enough, you get
Did
the
it
alleyway
twice in
through.
2019 as
there
well.
There we go. Hit it through there, front edge, binned that one. Birdied 12, I think we might both have done. And then birdied 13. It was either 7 or 8 birdies in a row, 65. What was most impressive was I was just watching him. You know, I was just trying to hang on and see how I was doing, in all honesty. Tiger clearly stood on the tee on that Saturday afternoon and said, I'm catching DeMarco up here and I'm 6 behind, watch me go. Wow. And he just went. Wow. And it was, it was amazing. And then, later that day he hit the most famous chip in history, and he eventually won in the playoff. So incredible, debut Masters, it couldn't have gone much better.
And I always say to people, it's hard to describe Augusta National to somebody who hasn't been there until you're there and you see it through your own eyes. I'm just there as a spectator. As somebody who plays the course, has played the course, is it impossible to describe to somebody just how tough a test it is?
Well, I mean, by the time you get to Augusta, unless you're one of the amateurs, you're a pretty experienced golfer. You're in the top 50 in the world. That's why you've seen most things.
You're already a Ryder Cup winner by that point.
And you've seen certainly in those days half of Augusta many times, the back 9. Yeah. But it's like you walk onto a green. I remember walking onto the 7th the first time, and I'm used to fast breaking putts. I'm top 50 player in the world at that time. And you walk on and you think, well, 5 feet of break. And then by the time you've actually realised, 14 feet of break.
Yeah.
It was just like tipping this table up and trying to keep a golf ball on it. And numerous putts like that. So, and as everyone said, it's a well-told story now. I was amazed when I got out to the first tee, and then the course is like it's down there. That blew me away. It's down the bottom of this hill. We know it's hilly, but not. Nothing was set up quite as experienced, but yeah, memories of a lifetime. And the thing that came back to me more than anything was you'd see Monty walk in, or Greg, whoever it was, Greg Norman, Jack Nicklaus. It was like it was Christmas Day, and you were 7. But it was still the same for Jack Nicklaus. There was nowhere else in the world Jack wants to be, other than still being there, and he's been there 65 times or whatever the number is. Everyone's still just as excited, proud, pleased, humbled. To be part of what is just an amazing first major.
One day, Jay. One day we'll get
we will. Yeah, I'll be there.
Need to ask.
Cancelled twice.
We need to ask the current champion to pull in a few favours for us.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Gents, thank you so much. Elsewhere in the world of golf this last week, Hannah Green won her home open, the Women's Australian Open. In doing so, made it back-to-back wins, having won a fortnight ago at the HSBC World Championship in Singapore. Bryson DeChambeau was the winner of Live Singapore after Richard T. Lee missed a 2-foot putt in a playoff to hand him victory. This week in golf, the DP World Tour is back there in Hainan Island in China for the Hainan Classic. The LPGA Tour is back as well there in the US after their Asian swing is finished. The Fortinet Founders Cup in Menlo Park, California, and the PGA Tour had their final Florida event, the Valspar, Innisbrook, the Snake Pit and all that. You'll remember, I'm sure, a dramatic finish last year as Victor Hovland snatched victory from Justin Thomas, and I'll be speaking to Victor tomorrow. We'll bring you that full chat on next week's podcast. Gents, thanks so much for your time. That was great fun. Howler, always a pleasure.
Loved it.
And Jamie, we'll get them next time.
We will, mate. We will. We actually will.
We played so well.
So annoying.
5 and 3 shellacking, Howler.
I'm just most concerned that he thinks Jamie, that this is 2 feet. But I don't know what that says about you.
Well, they might have to fix that in post.
And on that note, a huge thank you to Marcus, all the team here at Fox Hills for having us today. It really has been a treat. Huge thank you to Callaway for sponsoring the podcast. If you've liked what you've heard or watched today, make sure you give it a follow on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your pods. Leave us a review, let us know what you think of the show. Thank you for listening. And if it is Tuesday by the time you're listening to this, then from the 2 Irishmen here, a happy St. Paddy's Day to you as well. Enjoy, and we'll see you same time next week.